My position on how the Islamic prophecies of the second coming of the Christ and Antichrist were fulfilled is summarized extremely briefly as follows. The Antichrist, called the Dajjal, was actually a symbolic character crafted by God in line with the pattern adopted in biblical visions to represent communism. The Khuruj, or coming forth of the Antichrist, described in a hadith, was a symbol of the state created for the global communist revolution, namely the Soviet Union. The descent of the Christ, Jesus son of Mary, was also a symbol crafted on the same lines to represent a Christian state that came forth to defeat the Antichrist, Gog and Magog, and establish a system of justice in the world, which was the 20th century nation of USA. Now, let's quickly link important characteristics contained in the famous hadith on the subject to the main characters and events that took place in this whole conflict of the 20th century. The sign described in the depiction of the Antichrist, that he would only have one functional eye, meant communism's flawed analysis and remedies for human existence and the system of the world, as a result of which it also ultimately failed. And another sign, that disbeliever would be written on his forehead, was symbolic for its godlessness, animosity against all religions, and the declaration and spread of scientific atheism as the state religion. Similarly, the Dajjal's stiff and curled hair were a reference to Karl Marx's hair. In the Hadith, the sequence of the coming forth of the Antichrist has been described in such a way that after Al-Marhamat al-Uzma, which some consider to be Armageddon, a large Roman army, also said to be comprising of Bani Ishaq, will attack the Muslims. And as a result of this battle, Constantinople will also be conquered without a fight, after which the coming forth of the Antichrist will take place. Al-Malhamat al-Uzma was World War I, that is also called the Great War, which is the exact translation of Al-Malhamat al-Uzma, which was fought from 1914 to 1918. The Allied army, which later on consisted mostly of Bani Ishaq, then captured Constantinople and Turkey, in response to which Turkey fought its own war of independence under Kemal Atatürk. In the same series of battles, Turkey defeated the Greek forces in the area of Izmir after several fierce battles, as a result of which Constantinople was liberated without a fight as a result of the Treaty of Lausanne, which is still celebrated as the Day of Liberation of Istanbul. Greece was defeated in October 1922, and 2 months later, in December, the establishment of the Soviet Union, the state manifestation of the Dajjal, was announced exactly according to the Ahadith, like clockwork. Then there is the event of the War of Gog and Magog, in which Jesus had to take his followers to Mount Sinai, at Tur, during which Gog and Magog were to cause havoc throughout the world. This was the description of World War II, at the beginning of which, and in the interwar period, the United States had adopted a policy of isolationism, which was symbolically referred to as sequestering at Mount Sinai, that ended with the Pearl Harbor attack. Then, according to a hadith, most of the Japanese deaths in the war against America were actually caused by hunger and diseases, and according to the biblical version, the final defeat was due to a fire from the sky, i.e. the firebombing of Tokyo, etc., and the use of nuclear weapons. And just as the law of Moses was revealed on Mount Sinai, so the US came down with new norms for the world, and through the New World Order, it established justice in the world according to the Ahadith. It broke the cross, that is, it abolished the superiority and discrimination on the basis of Christianity. It repealed the jizya under the UN Charter, and it established peace and harmony among all humanity and religions on the basis of equality. During this time, the Antichrist was to cause chaos in the world, bring famines, and Jesus was to pursue him. So the Soviet Union set out to conquer the whole world, brought great famines such as the Holodomor, etc., and the United States pursued it all over the world during the Cold War. The last battle in this series was to take place between the Dajjal and the Muslims, in which Jesus was to descend and fight the Antichrist together with the Muslims and kill him and show his blood on his spear, after which Jesus was to die shortly. This was a description of the Soviet-Afghan War in which the United States descended under the leadership of the wet-haired Jesus, Ronald Reagan, and provided support to the Mujahideen that resulted in the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, followed by the symbolic death of Jesus at the turn of the millennium when the United States embarked on its invasion spree of Muslim countries, starting with Afghanistan and Iraq, and which is still ongoing. We are living in this era today, therefore as per the ahadith, the situation will get bad to worse till the judgment day arrives shortly. The Dajjal's stay in the world was said to be 40 days, where the days were equal to years, during which one day was to be like a week, one day like a month, and the rest of the days were equal to ordinary days. This pointed to the communist duration, that is after the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917, Lenin's 7-year rule till 1924, Stalin's 29 years rule till 1953, and the remaining 38 years until 1991. Also, as per the ahadith, among the followers of the Antichrist were prophesied to be a large number of Jews, who were actually at the forefront of the Bolshevik Party and in the propagation of communism. Then they were to suffer a massacre described in the way that even trees and stones would call out if one was hiding behind it, which was the description of the Holocaust. It is possible that someone might think that what of Imam Mahdi then? So Imam Mahdi has nothing to do with the events of the Christ and the Antichrist? Ahadith about the Mahdi were references to 2 or more guided rulers closely after the time of the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and the Rashidun Caliphate, most of which were fulfilled in Abdullah bin Zubair and some in Muhammad bin Qasim, and the remaining in 1 or 2 others. If you feel perplexed by the brevity of these claims, I have made detailed videos on each and every one of these facts, which can be seen on my Patreon page, with some available on this YouTube channel of mine as well. All links are listed in the description below, and subscribe to my Patreon so that I can concentrate on my research activities. Peace out.